Hi, Tazeen. How are you?
Hello, hello. I'm well. So nice to see you again.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, you've had so many
Oh,
adventures since our last
oh my
conversation,
gosh. Yes, a lot of adventures. That's a good word, yeah.
right?
Adventures.
Welcome to the Perfect Child podcast. And I'm excited to have you on to share about your adventures.
Mm-hmm.
Start with your bio.
Mm.
Tazeen Dutton is a teacher, a doula, a mother, and grandmother. She has five grown children and seven grandchildren. She is also a body stress release and root cause practitioner. Tazeen has held many babies as they took their first breath, and she held the hand of her mother in law as she took her last breath.
Mhm.
Tazeen, is there anything else you'd like to add to that bio?
Well, today I have just started a school group, which is a community
Mhm.
for parents to be seen and heard.
Awesome. And you invited
Yeah.
me to that. So I'm excited to
Mm.
be part of the chatter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I found that, there's a lot of people struggling, and if you haven't got any money, there's no access to anything. So this is a free group, there's no payment, and you never know, just this one line or somebody to talk to might just be the thing that saves you from burnout.
Oh my gosh, 100%. I feel like women always feel like they're isolated and they're like the only ones going through whatever they're going through. And actually, oh my gosh, so many people experience the same things.
Yeah. And one felt that when in the 80s, when I had started having my children, and we're in 2026, and things really haven't changed. They've got worse.
Right, right. That's why we're having this conversation. All
Yeah.
right. So I'm going to go back to your website, which is tazeendutton.com.
Yeah.
On it, you say that when you fell ill with an
Mm,
overactive thyroid, you realized this was your body's way of calling you home,
mm,
urging you to step out of the superwoman lane and into a more soulful way of being.
yeah.
Can you tell me how you got to that space? Because I feel like a lot of people, especially in the past few years, have experienced really big things in their bodies, breaking of a leg or whatever that is asking them to slow down.
Mm,
So, and a lot of people can't, even with like the smallest things, like
mm.
a cold, a common cold or whatever, their body's detoxing and they're like, I just need to get back to work. So tell me how
Right.
you got to that space that
Yeah.
you got into.
Yeah. Well, there's no such thing as accidents. There's always something an accident is showing you, but we're not always receptive to it. In my case, what had happened was I was working full time. I had five children. Two of them were a lot older, but I still have three young ones. And also had a mother-in-law with dementia. And the day starts at 7:30, and then you dropping everybody off at school and then coming home and then looking after grandma. She did have nurses, but still the brunt of it, fell on me. And I just kept doing everything, and it's always this thing in my head of, well, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? Who's going to eat? Da, 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 da. And obviously, after 7, 8 years of working like that with my mother-in-law I just realised that I was losing a lot of weight. And when I went to the doctor, he told me I had an overactive thyroid. And I went through the whole holistic route, but somehow it had locked in. I didn't have enough information. Maybe I would have, looked at things differently today, but at that time I still had young. I needed to get better, and so I had what they call the radioactive iodine, which then kills your thyroid.
Oh,
I mean, I remember lying in bed just thinking, my gosh, where is everyone? Nobody loves me. Where's my husband right now? Where are my children? You know, no one loves me. And as I said that, those words, no one loves me, there was just almost like a voice inside of me saying, do you love you? And I was like, and then my whole life flashed in front of me, and I could see myself like a crazy woman, getting everybody snack in school lunches ready, because I didn't vaccinate my children, I was all into holistic food, home cooked food. So I'd be getting all of that ready, lovely snacks for the kids, for the husband, and being the taxi driver, dropping everybody at school, going to work. And I was in South Africa at the time, working in a preschool there that I helped set up. I got to work at 7:30. I finished at 2, picked all the kids up, came home, made the supper. Weekends was taking the kids out, shopping, getting the menu all sorted and everything. And it was just on and on and on. And good night, just at 8 o'clock, I was finished. And this was going every week, every week, every week. I'd have little twinges, in my back, and my teeth would hurt. I'd always be going to the dentist. There were all these signs, but I just kept on going. There wasn't, in my head, there was no option until I had my burnout and I had this overactive thyroid. And then I really started thinking, my gosh, I really don't love myself. Look at the way I'm treating myself. And so
Right.
that was a realization. And with that, it was just one thing after the other, and then I decided I was going to leave work, which I did. And then
Yeah.
my husband retired and we decided we were coming back to England, came back to England. And I always felt that my parents, the children that I taught, I could see how stress was impacting all of their lives, and just like it was me, how the children, nobody was present for the children. And I always had this thing, I really need to find something that's going to help my parents, de-stress the parents so that they can be present for their children, and that's going to make an impact. Me in nursery with the children, I'm not going to make the same impact. And so things just started changing. And when I got back to England, I did a 6-month course of body stress release, which, because I thought, wow, this is what my parents need. I need to de-stress them of all their stress, and then they'll be present with their. This was the narrative. And so I did that for a couple of years, and 4 or 5 years. And then I realized, and what I saw was it wasn't, yes, there was a benefit with the body work for body stress release. But the biggest thing I was finding was the safe space that my clients had and the conversations that came after their treatment. And then that led me to root cause practice, because what was happening, I was the last resort that people were coming to body stress release because the doctors were not, they were just not giving the answers. And then people took it onto themselves. Okay, I'm going to try this other modality. And through that, it still didn't feel complete. There was still something missing. And the root cause practice I did for 2 years was about getting to the root cause of their illness, their stagnation, the pain they're having in their body, why we do things in a way that we do.
Yeah.
And that would take them in through a whole journey where I wasn't fixing them. I wasn't telling them what to do. They were finding their own answers to whatever issue was coming up in their lives. And I just remember thinking, I wish I had all these tools when I was young. And so it's been a full circle. And then you take them back to where the issue started. And I've gone full circle. You take them back to the inner child, which is back to the work I was doing to start off
Root of
with. So it's,
everything.
yes, yes. So that's in a nutshell of how I ended up with those two modalities.
So knowing that, and now you have, wait, do you have five grown girls?
3 daughters, 2 sons.
Okay, three daughters and two sons. Now, did you teach them any of your body stress release and root cause protocols for all five of them to sort of be present in their current lives?
Well, I just studied this in the last 8 years, because
Okay.
before then I was a preschool teacher. But I did all my studying while my children were young. So when they started, I was a home mom for the first 3 years of their life. Then we traveled a lot, so I home educated. And then there was that point where I thought, oh gosh, they're going to need to go to school because they'll be so behind. And so when we came back to the UK, and they chose the schools that they were way ahead of the children in their
Nice.
class.
Oh,
So it just made me see, I thought, wow, this is incredible. So they had a very holistic upbringing. I was not always aware myself of the messages that my body was telling me. So no, I didn't tell them, but it's a different story now as they're older. But as I've been doing the journey and doing my work, I've been passing it on to them and they very much understand it. It's very different for men. I do find it's different for women because women tend to the whole because it's all about your emotions and emotional stuff. Women get it straight away, but men take slightly a bit longer. And I'm beginning to realize that for men, it's more the physical activities that they're doing. Then they come for body stress release and they've got to stop the physical, but something emerges. And that is when you hit the emotion side.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, when you do body stress release, you're touching various parts of their body to see if there's a reaction. Now we have layers and layers of muscles, and the way your body's always trying to protect you. So when there's any form of stress, any danger, the body locks up. So if you imagine all these layers of muscles, they're all closing, closing, closing until you get what's called stress overload. That's when you start getting the pain. Now, with men, it's just in my experience, what I found is that they're not so very good with the chatting and and expressing themselves emotionally. But when you do the body stress release with them, the releases that happen takes them into another place where they're having dreams, and then they come back, oh, I had a dream, da, da, da. And then they speak about their dreams, and that's when they can express more of what's going on with them. So I'm finding that it does work differently, in my opinion, with the men and women. It's very interesting.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so that brings me the question.
Yeah.
Because of the work that you do, is it a truth that every physical symptom that we feel in our body has an emotional root cause?
There's three in body stress, you find there's three. There's chemical stress,
Okay.
physical stress, and emotional stress. And let's not forget, stress is also good for us because it pushes us to do things. So
Okay.
now physical stress would be you've had an injury and the body's stressed because of this injury. And if it hadn't healed, that stress is still holding on. So sometimes when you do body stress release, you can find that it's a very gentle kind of touching of the body, but the client may have a bruise. And the bruise is really a sign of there's some healing, that you've had a physical knock or something and it hasn't healed, and now the body's healing. Because if you can imagine these layers of muscles that are then being released, then because before the body's holding it, so the brain's not getting a message to heal here because there's nothing going on. But as the muscles release, then you start getting a bit of pain, or you've got a bruise, and then the message is, oh, we've got a problem here, let's go heal it, and then the healing happens.
Okay. But
Chemical stress, there's only one part of the body you find chemical stress, and that's the C2 on your spine here. So, and the way, because body stress release has what they call a feedback mechanism, because the largest muscle in your body are in the legs. So what happens is I will touch various parts of your body, and then I will look to see what's happening with the feet. Now, if the feet move slightly, it means there's stress there and you can release it. Now, if the body doesn't move, you don't touch it because it means the body is not ready to release that. So you're getting this communication through the feet. And then that leaves emotional stress. Emotional stress is something that is slower to heal because there's a whole journey where you're the conversations that you have with your client is more about, okay, what happened when this emotion first arised? Where did you feel that before? And then you're listening for the metaphors that the client uses, and then you repeat those back. And as you repeat their words back to them, they find the answers. But it's a slow process. It's not something like modern medicine, it's going to hit straight away. It's almost like they start finding their triggers, and then the journey begins. And then they start recognizing where their nervous system's reacting, what is their body trying to tell you. And then there's a whole encyclopedia. I can't remember what it's called, but it's all the different parts of the body and what they mean. There's also
Ooh, fun.
a German what's it called?
Is it German New Medicine?
German. That's right. Yeah,
German New Medicine.
that's also very similar to. Then you can look up. Oh gosh, it's my right hand, and what does that mean? And right side is masculine, and left side is feminine, and there's so much, so much.
And do you know that I just learned from a friend who is listening to the Way Forward podcast with Alex Zek? When he was doing that, somebody told him, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody told him that if you're left-handed, that is the feminine and the masculine is opposite. So like if I'm left-handed and normally
Okay.
the left side is mother, or like feminine, for me it'll be the right side.
Okay.
Isn't that
Ah.
interesting?
Yeah, but also when we're talking about the feminine, if you're having symptoms with the left side, it might be to do with anybody female in your family, like if you've got daughters, sisters, you may be having issues with them. But it also may be that you're doing things too fast and you need to slow down, because that's the
Ooh.
feminine energy, and the opposite for the masculine. You know, you're not
Oh,
doing enough, you need to move a bit more, or you need to, so there's these kind of like
that's really
opposite
interesting.
yin
Okay, so
and
I want to
yang,
go
isn't it?
back. I want to go back to what you were saying about the physical stressor, right?
Mm, mm.
Because prior, when we started our conversation, you said there are no accidents. There are no accidents.
No,
Everything happens
exactly,
for a reason.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
so, like I
Hmm.
was saying before, do we think that the physical stressor actually, the root of that is emotion?
Well, it's going to slow you down, isn't it? Because if you've hurt your leg, if you've got it in crutches, you're not going to be able to go any faster.
Yeah.
And if you're not listening to the body signs, it will keep coming back in some form until you
Yeah.
start noticing it.
Right, right. So
The
at the
body
end of the
wants to
day,
heal.
it really is
Mm,
about tuning in.
completely. Tuning in and taking responsibility for your own life. That's a big, big thing.
And I feel like what you shared earlier about the message that you got from your body when
Mm,
you were thinking that nobody loved you and your body sort of said, well, do you even love yourself? I think that is very common in a
yeah,
lot of people.
yeah.
And we tend to always point the finger outwards. And at the end of the day, do we actually love ourselves?
Yeah. And what does that look like? What does that look like? You know, are you feeding yourself nourishing food? Are you having time out for yourself? You
Yeah.
know, are
Yeah. And
you
it's
are
not
you
just about the spa days.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
more than that.
But and we can both sit here and talk about that, but if you have no help and you're a single person trying to bring up your children, unless you start asking for help, there's not going to be any help for
Right.
you, because there's no room. There's no room. Even making wholesome meals. You know, you've got a crying baby, you've got a 2 year old. It's impossible. You need a village to raise a child. And this is why I started the Skoll community. Okay, yes, it's an online community, but I'm hoping through that I'll be able to find people also a bit nearer and have some kind of like something where you can actually meet people. Um,
Totally.
and you have to. I mean, one of the things that a lady across the road had twins, and so I could hear the twins crying in the night. So I said to my husband, I can't bear this. I'm going to have to go over. So I went over and I knocked on the door. It was 2 in the morning, and somebody, her husband, answered the door. And he says, "Is everything all right?" And I said, "Is everything all right with you?" I said, "I can hear your twins crying." And I said, "I just wanted to let you know I'm a doula. I work with children. If you need any help, is there anything?" He says, "No, no, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine." I says, "Well, anyway, I'm reaching out. If you need help, just let me know." It took him 3 days before he came back, and he said, "Actually, can I take you up on your offer?"
Oh, I know.
And then I
Even if
was
you need an extra hand to hold a baby, I can be there.
exactly, and then that was it. I was in, and we helped make her food and everything. And I thought, that's it. We've got to start. seeing and observing where is the help needed,
Yes.
and then just be brave enough and courageous enough to just go and knock and see, because people are shy, they don't want to accept help. And I think that's another issue of us women. I remember when I had my fifth child and she had whooping cough. And so you can imagine, I'm up all night with her whooping cough, then I still got to do the rest of the stuff in the day. And I must have been having a nervous breakdown, because I remember putting the baby down. Now, the eldest was 14 years old. They were all at home. Put the baby down and I went off for a walk. I was in Edinburgh at the time. I went to Arthur's Seat and I went to a shop, and then I came back home. My husband, he worked across the road, so the first thing my daughter did was, she told me her story later on when she was a lot older. Oh yes, Mum, when you did that, you left me with everyone. And then when I came back, I remember putting the key in the door and opening the door. My husband was standing there, all the kids behind him like this, looking. And he said, "Are you all right?" And he just burst into tears. "No, I'm not all right. I can't cope. I have to do this, and the baby's got to." And he just looked at me and he said, "Why didn't you say anything? I just thought you were great and you just cope so well." And I thought to myself, why didn't I say anything?
Right. Right.
You know? So
Right.
what?
I think a lot of what that we could be doing as mothers and as friends to mothers is reminding them that they need to ask for help.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
village is there. There's going to
yeah.
be people there that are willing to help if you just reach out.
But you see, I wouldn't even be able to have this interview with you right now and talk if I hadn't done all this work on my own trauma, because my mother came from India, and it was this is what they did. It was almost like forbidden to ask the man to do anything. So it's like unconsciously took all that on. So that's what I saw my mother doing. My grandmother did that, and it was like that's what women do. But then women weren't going out to work. You
Yeah.
know, that's all their lives, and they had other women and the support of other women
That's
all the
right.
time around them. They were not doing it on their own in a nuclear family in a house with
I know
freezing weather half the time.
in my case, my mother was doing it all on her own. Like she wasn't a
Wow.
single mom, but in my eyes, like I light up when I think about my mom because she was such a superwoman. She literally cooked meals every night, did the dishes, and afterwards would go work at night school and then do
Wow.
like all the things. And she did it and she set like such a beautiful example. But also, was that a good example of doing everything, you know?
And how was her health?
It was pretty good for
Wow.
a yeah,
Amazing.
she was pretty healthy. I mean, the
Superwoman.
end, but
I want to know her secret so I can share it with
you
people.
know, her secret was that she did not carry stress. She
Mm,
just was very happy-go-lucky all the time. What actually ended up taking her out of this world was stomach cancer that she was diagnosed with. And I
okay.
think she had a lot of sadness in her life that she carried, and that's probably what created the
Yeah.
cancer condition, the tumor, and then of
Yeah.
course conventional medicine, I'm gonna say, killed her.
Yeah.
That's my
It's
own personal perspective.
mm,
But
mm,
for the most part in her life, she did not carry stress.
yeah, yeah.
I
I think
think
Gabor Mate says, what does he say about cancer is one that are always looking after people and they put themselves last.
yeah, basically. Yeah, and she did put herself last, although towards the end of her life, she did a lot on her own, because my parents did end up getting divorced when we were in our 30s.
Right.
She just was like living the best life.
And that was she sad or
I
not?
think she had heartache. So, which is why there, I guess a tumor formed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Had we
And
known,
sometimes it's like you gotta go somehow. So how are you gonna go?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think had we known more about German new medicine, we probably could have done something different.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But we didn't, and
It is
that's that.
interesting because yeah, these modalities come just as we need them. And I think a lot of people are really getting fed up with modern medicine. And so there's new modalities that are coming in and new kind of like Chinese medicine, acupuncture, all of that's getting.
Not even new. They're like centuries
Well,
old. They're so
absolutely.
effective.
What
For
I
us,
mean
they're
when I
like
say,
traditional
yeah,
medicine,
yeah. But
right?
what I mean when I say new is they're coming back into the forefront. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, they're over 3,000 years old. Yeah, they go way
Yes.
back.
Yes.
And there's a spiritualness about it all
Yes.
because the inner body it reflects the outer environment. So of course, when we talk about cancer as well, it's so cancerous out there that it's no wonder we're getting it inside of us because it's a mirror
Mhm.
to whatever's happening out. And that's why when you start doing this inner work and you start changing something inside of you, and that's what I was saying about taking responsibility for things in your life, the impact is seen in the environment outside with the intention. Once you make an intention, actually, I want to get better, I want to do something about this, or I'm just fed up of doing all of this, I'm going to make some moves to change my life. It already starts happening once you've made that intention.
Right. It's so easy. You just set that intention. And also, I think a big thing about the causation of a tumor is probably the victim mindset. When you have that, like, poor
Yeah,
me, everything's against me, all of these things, these are
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
childhood needs that weren't met.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about today's children, and if both mother and father are working, who's holding the children, and what is the result of a child that doesn't have a home but is in creches? And when I did my training, I did my HND childcare and education, I was horrified of what I saw in the creches. It just broke my heart. I thought rather give if you do have to go to work, to a childminder. But the creches, there was three, I think there was three babies, and there was two young girls feeding the baby, and there was like the spoon, and because they were busy chatting, the spoon was just going, and the babies,
Oh
and I
my
just thought, oh,
gosh.
it's just,
Oh no. Where
it
is
was,
this?
and I just had to say to them, please look in the eyes of the child you're feeding.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they were young, but it was still, they're too young to be responsible for babies.
Yeah. Now, when we first talked, and this is why I wanted to bring you on, was because you were
Mhm.
saying how you had first given birth in a hospital and
Mhm.
you had to get the hell out of Dodge because they were badgering you. Tell me about that story.
Well, I had five children and they were all in the hospital. I decided to have them in hospital because
Okay.
that was the first one was 1985, and I, they were all natural births. I refused to take any. Well, everything was going all right, so I didn't see the need to take anything. There was no pain in any of my labours. It was hard work, and then the doctors come in with what was it, vitamin K, and I'd lost a lot of blood, and so they wanted to give me a blood transfusion. And I remember they came with all the things, and I thought, oh my gosh, I says, what will happen if I don't take the blood? And he said, well, you'll be very tired, and it'll take a week to recover. So I thought, well, I'll just be tired then. Let me home. But they wouldn't. In those days, you couldn't go home. They wanted you to stay in the hospital. But the food, I wanted proper food. I was hungry. I just delivered a baby, and there's no, I couldn't even have a hot water bottle because I might burn myself. They said
Oh my.
you can have pills. We can give you some pain relief. I didn't want to take pills. So in the end, I had to sign myself out, but I had to sign that if anything happened, the hospital wouldn't come to the home. The doctors wouldn't come to the home. And I thought, okay, I'll just sign it because I had my mother-in-law looking after me. My mother was there, and so it was okay. But then by the time I had the second and third, I had a fight with the midwife because she wouldn't let me have him standing up. She says, I'm not going to get on the floor to deliver your baby. I said, well, I'll deliver it myself. That's
Oh
what I
my
mean.
gosh.
Fights with them being. So there was not a real issue because I think I was quite strong and I was very spiritual. And for me, um, I was sovereign of my births, and I just wanted them to be over there, and I was in my own kind of like bubble.
Right.
Very different story from my daughters, though. See, who
Oh,
they wanted a home birth, and my eldest daughter, I was there with her, and she had the most beautiful birth in the water. And then, but with my other daughter, it was so tranquil. She had the pool and everything. She wanted a home birth, but there was a whole commotion going on in the hospital. That there wasn't enough staff, so the midwives came in making all this noise, and then, oh, we can't hear the baby's heartbeat and all this, that, and the other. So then she gets rushed into hospital, and then she can't be in the birthing suite. She has to go in the main trauma suite, and oh dear, it was horrible. One thing after the other. In the end, her husband had to send all the midwives out. And they were not very happy with him, I can tell you, because they have a protocol to follow in the hospitals.
yeah.
And so he sent them all out. And while they were all out and he was out with them, she delivered. I just said,
Oh
breathe,
my gosh.
just breathe, you're fine. And she just delivered. Yeah.
Yeah.
Second one, not so good because she had a C-section with the other one.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we discovered each other because of your daughter, Naima, who
Oh, yes.
basically, I interviewed her because she was down the path of becoming a midwife through the
Mm,
hospital system and
yeah.
just found it to be so disrespectful to mothers. And so she left, and now she's a birth keeper, which is beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, she said, look, the NHS is really struggling. I mean, they're just so short of staff. And it's just, there's only so much people can do, these long hours and night shifts, and then you've got to follow the protocol because of the insurance and everything. It's, you know, it's uh it's a really difficult choice to make for women who want to have children at home now, to give birth at home.
Oh, is it? It's
Mm,
too hard for
getting
people
harder and harder.
midwives.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But a lot of some midwives are going private. Um, but yeah,
Now tell me about when I think this was your eldest daughter who got cut by glass and then you had to take her.
did I tell you that story? Yeah, crazy. She was 16
Mhm.
and she was putting some glasses away and it fell, and of course it hit her wrist as she started bleeding. So we took her to emergency, and I had to wait outside. I wasn't allowed to go in. And then they asked her questions of, first of all, they thought she tried to commit suicide. And then it was like, they wanted to vaccinate her. She said, I don't want to, I don't want to be vaccinated. I said, well, you have a choice. If your mother's forcing you not to be vaccinated, she can't stop you. Then my daughter said, no, I don't want to be vaccinated. I'll make my choices later, but for now I don't want to. And then they let her go, plastered it up.
It's incredible that that was what in 1990 something,
1993.
1993, and they're telling your daughter who's 16 years old that she can make her own choices
Yeah,
and they didn't
yeah,
come out to you. That is not okay.
I know.
And I think it happens all the time.
Mm.
I
When she also had an earring that got stuck. She had a pearl earring, and the pearl got stuck in her ear, and of course we didn't know. So then it closes up, and so she had to go to the hospital to get that out. And the doctor says, "Well, people do this for vanity, putting earrings in. She got a DIE. At least he spells it out. Die.
oh, but by
Big
having a
problem.
pearl in her ear?
No, because I didn't. I choose not to vaccinate.
Oh, because when she went in, they asked if she wanted.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Ridiculous. She's like, I'm already this old and I haven't died yet.
Well, that's a whole other story, isn't it? Yeah. She never, anyway, I'm not telling people not to vaccinate their children. I can tell you from experience with my own children is they never even had a cough or a cold
Right.
till they were
Right.
about
Because
seven
they're
or
more
eight.
resilient. They're more resilient.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really, I recently read a book called Vax Facts. It's by a
Mhm.
doctor out here in Oregon. And what struck me in that book was that he consistently says, never let your child out of your sight when you're in a hospital setting. And your
Wow.
stories, this is why.
Yeah.
They do not respect the parents' wishes.
Mm.
And that's a problem. Yeah,
I just think, gosh, I don't know what it would be like to bring a child into the world right now in this such a confused world.
it is. It
And I
is.
don't know
And
what our politicians are up to. You know, you just think it is just mad. Somebody
yeah,
once said to me, and I've never forgotten it. They said to see um, to see if you have a good government, look at the old people and the young people and the sick. Are they being looked after?
not here. Not
Well,
here.
part of what I'm doing in the community that I set up in school, it's called Seen and Heard, is it's exactly that, to people who are hidden away or they get to feel that nobody sees them or ever hears them. There's a little window there. Hang on. Yeah,
The
you don't
old
have to pay anything.
people,
Yeah.
they
And the
need
kids,
that. They're
the
not seen
teachers,
or
it's
heard.
people like nurses, teachers, people who are caring for
Oh
other
my
people,
gosh.
and we
Yes.
all need them at some point in our lives. Let's
Yes.
value these people. The
Yes.
parents who are bringing up the next generation, and they are so stressed and it's so difficult financially and everything. Let's start valuing these people
How do we do that? How do we make them
step by
feel
step, I guess,
the
step by step.
nurses and the teachers?
Mm, yeah.
Yes.
And the teachers, they don't make the decisions. The decisions of schools are being made way up high and they don't have a say. And how frustrating is that? That's why I
Well,
left in the end.
here in the US, teachers are leaving in droves.
Yeah, well, same
Teachers
thing
and
happened.
students. So hopefully they come together and then they'll see their
Well,
value.
well, it's all becoming online now, isn't it?
A little bit, but I think there's a lot of people that are seeking the analog and the in person.
Well,
I
yes,
think,
the school that my daughter moved. I was telling you about this place in Italy, and that was set up by an American couple
oh,
who
was
uh, who didn't they wanted to get out of America because they didn't like the system for their children. They wanted something a bit more freer, and they ended up with the school in Monferrato in Italy. And then there was other families had come in. I think there was an article in the Financial Times about the school, and then after that article, so many families had moved there
oh
because
my
it's
God.
it's a it's a little small beautiful city where a lot of the young people have moved, and there's so many empty houses, and people are buying their own houses. I think
Yeah.
35. I was there a couple of weeks back because my daughter's had her third child, and somebody just bought a house, a four-bedroom house for €35, 35,000.
Wait, stop it.
I'm not. I'm just like,
Wait,
what?
so that's really good for your daughter because it's really helping the enrollment then.
She bought her house cash.
Amazing.
Yeah, and but the beautiful thing is that it's it's allowing this little town to become richer because people are bringing in their skills, and the old people are so happy because there's young people coming into the city, into their little
Yeah.
town. The butcher, which is all organic meat, is so happy. They've got their local cheese and milk from the local cows. There's about 12 cows, and all the little village kids, they walk down to get their cheese and milk, and the school's all gluten free. All the meals are so beautifully
Right.
done. It's
Right.
just so
Oh,
amazing.
you sent me the Instagram handle and oh my gosh, the posts are so beautiful.
Yeah, and the
And
children are
they're
so
doing
happy.
exactly what I dream for all children and seniors
Yeah,
that they
yeah,
come together. And the
yeah.
program's so beautiful.
And it has the pensioners. They're getting younger because they're spending all this time with the little teeny children. And there's this
Yeah.
generational thing that works so well.
So
I
well.
wish, I wish, I
So
wish there
well.
would be many schools like that. I hope they really will be inspired to
Oh my gosh. Can you
work them.
share the Instagram handle?
Yes, absolutely.
What is
Yeah,
it?
it's a Germogli di Vita school. That's Germogli.
Germogli.
Yeah, Di Vita.
Okay,
And
great.
the school is called the Village Forest School. I don't have I think I sent the details. I
You
sent
did.
the,
Mhm.
I
Send it to
did
me.
that.
Yeah,
You could
yeah.
put them
Just
on. Yeah.
wanted you to share it up here too, so people can pull it up.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And I was, because I tell people all the time, that's my dream. I want this for everyone.
And
And I spoke with somebody out here in Oregon, and there's actually a school like that here in Oregon that
wonderful.
that pairs the seniors with the children, and it's called
Um,
GenTog, Generation
oh,
Together.
oh, I love it. I
Isn't
love
that
it.
interesting? So I want to go check out that school too. And of course, I'm going to go
Yeah,
check
yeah.
yours.
They have the Village Forest School in Italy. They have a summer school. It's a 5 week, I think.
Ooh.
Boom, they do all kinds of amazing things. Yeah, I
And
think it's on their website. You can see it.
okay, great. Do you know if there's a specific age for the summer school, or is it for anyone that wants to
For age 4 to 14.
4 to 14? Okay,
Mm,
perfect.
yeah,
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much.
yeah, and they've got a couple of yurts.
Yeah.
They do such beautiful things in this
Oh
yurt.
my gosh.
And
And you're the
very
inspiration for that, right? Because you had one of these types of programs when you were in South Africa.
in Edinburgh.
Oh, you had it in Edinburgh.
In
Okay.
Edinburgh, and in South Africa, I helped with a preschool there. Had a school
Okay.
that we
Okay.
worked with, and we had a garden. We grew our own vegetables, organic vegetables. We had a free flow snack where the children would make their own snacks. And then I had a rota so that every day one of the parents would come in for half an hour to help with the snacks. So it became this little village and family, and that's where my interest in work with parents started, because I'd have to stay back after school because the parents were so full of questions, and had to answer all their questions, and they'd have to work in the garden with me. And yeah, that's when I realized these parents need to be de-stressed somehow. So
Yeah.
the idea came in then, and when I came back to England when my husband retired, I just
Yeah.
came across this course that was running for 6 months, body stress release, which originated in South Africa and is very big in Denmark and the
Oh,
Netherlands, but very new in England. It's been there, I think, six, probably more than that now, years
and
here.
it always has to be in person, obviously, because you're touching different
For
parts
the
of the
body stress release, yes, but the root cause practice is online because that's more the somatic, and you're sitting with the person with what's happening to them right now, and you're
okay.
not touching them physically. Whereas the body stress release, you're touching them and releasing. But what I found was the root cause practice was having big impact in changing lives of people. Whereas what I saw with the body stress release, it was becoming more like people were coming and wanting to be fixed. I can't
Right.
fix anybody. You have to own what's happening. And yes, that you can release the pain, but if you don't deal with why that pain's coming, that pain's going to come back. And I would tell them, if they haven't found in 3 sessions what's actually going on, then they're wasting their money coming back to me, because unless you look at what your issues are, those issues are going to keep coming back, because the body wants you to know, and it's going to keep coming back. It's a bit like when you're angry and you keep suppressing your anger and keep suppressing it, you're just going to explode at one point.
Right. But so if they're not getting results, then do you just kind of shift them over then to the root cause?
Yes,
You do. You
yes.
shift them over and you're like, okay, we're not going to do this
If
body.
they are willing to look into it.
Okay. Yeah, because
Because
it's
if
deep
you,
work.
well, it's the usual thing. If you don't want to get better, it's work, because you have to look at why you are and why your body's reacting. What is the trigger? Why has that person triggered you?
Yeah.
You have to be able to sit with that. For
Yeah.
example, I found that I was having always had this thing with my husband when he was eating, and he just was eating so slowly. And I would say, oh, for heaven's sake, can you just, just eat faster? And then I'd get so annoyed because he was eating so slowly, too busy chatting and eating so slowly, that I would get so angry that I'd end up eating more. In my anger, I think, oh, I pound my plate on mine. And then I thought to myself, okay, why am I getting angry? Why am I? And I had to sit with it. I thought, why am I getting angry? Why do I always get angry when he let him eat slowly? Why is it such a problem? And then when I sat with it, do you know what came up, Belinda? My body was telling me to slow down. because I'm eating too fast. It's giving me indigestion.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was just mirroring what I needed to see. And you see, if there was nothing there for me to see, I would not have reacted. The fact that there was a reaction means there's something in me that I need to look at. You see, people mirror you, and you can't do root cause practice until you've worked on yourself. Because then, as you get your clients and there's triggers, you're not going to be able to mirror anything back to them because it's all a mirroring. My clients see themselves in me. But if I have issues, a lot of issues, I'm going to be reacting all the time. So the beauty of this work, the root cause practice, is that every time a client comes to me, and if ever there's a little reaction from them, from to me, from them, I mean, I don't let it show, but I've noticed it. And then after a session, I write it down. And then I sit and I work with that. And so what's happening is each time I'm finding another blind spot in me that I need to clear out. So, my clients think I'm working with them, but they're helping me to find mine. So it's this two-way thing.
Oh my gosh. Okay, but this is so interesting because you're talking about how you were being annoyed by your husband eating slow and you yourself had to eat slow. This is such hard work because how
Oh
do you get to
my.
that place? Like why did you have such a aggressive reaction to this? Why doesn't your body, you know what I mean? Like why didn't you go, "Oh, wait, I probably need to slow down and eat." No, like you were eating faster and eating more. Like
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
It's like
yeah. And
self-sabotage.
you know what, Belinda, I'll tell you one thing else. Once I got to that place, it's gone. I can sit with him and he can eat as slow as he wants. And it doesn't bother me. I don't get angry because I've dealt with that part of me. And I'm trying to slow down when I eat now.
Right. Wow.
So that's when you've
So
learned something. You see your blind spots. You can't find your own blind spots.
no.
It has to be mirrored, and then you can, and then once you find it, it's gone.
We basically need to be walking around with a journal all day long and just like making notes every time we're getting triggered.
I don't think we need a journal. We just need to be more present with our reactions. When we react to something, just make a note. There's a reaction there. And I think
Yes.
the more we do it, the more we start becoming aware of our own actions and the consequences of the choices that we make.
And so that is
It's
how
a
you bring people
process,
back to
and,
that.
and it doesn't happen overnight.
No, no. And so you kind of hold people's hands as they go through this process.
Yeah, that's all we're doing. There's no judgment. There's no trying to fix anybody. You just see them where they're at, and then you listen. You're a space where I see you and I hear you, and I repeat back to you what you're telling me. And when you hear your own words, something lights up, and that's the aha moment. And then it's your choice. Something you do. Like I had a choice. I could hear my body showing me that I'm eating too fast and it's causing me indigestion, or I can do something about it. Now I know, but I could have chosen carried on eating fast.
Yeah. You could have
But
just said, "No, that's not true. I must not have heard my body right."
no, but because I
Thank
was doing
you.
the root cause practice, I was practicing myself,
Oh
and then
my
I was
God.
finding all kinds of things about me.
Oh, aren't we all day long?
Mm,
This is why it's so enlivening to be alive at this time because we
yeah,
have all of this wisdom
yeah,
that we glean from meeting each other.
yeah. And there's no perfect. This is a life. This is life. There'll always be something that
Yeah,
you're challenged with.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, because I was at a birth a couple of weeks back where the baby didn't breathe, you know, and it passed away, and but it was such a beautiful birth, and it was a home birth. But the beauty of it all was the parents were allowed to grieve with their baby. You don't see that.
Yeah.
And it's just, and again, when I held the hand of my mother-in-law when she took her last breath, you just see how short life is. It's, from one breath to the next, and it's just this, you have this macro breath when the baby takes that first breath, and then the macro breath out. And in between are just tiny, tiny breaths that you're taking in your life.
Yeah. And it's a good reminder. What do we want to do with this one precious life?
Yeah, yeah. And the children are the future. That's why, what you're doing is amazing, because we need to speak. I trained with Michel Auden, and that's the one thing he said to me. And one of the reasons why I did all of my own unpacking and everything, he said, look, you have a voice, you need to use it, because if you don't use your voice, all those people out there that need to hear what you have to say, they're not getting to hear it.
Right.
And I thought, oh dear, pressure, pressure. It's taken me 12 years. And I'm at that point now where my children have all grown and left, and I kind of feel, okay, maybe now I can start focusing on community and outside. And there's so many people that need elders because we have experience. We've seen so much in the 6 decades that I've been alive. And if you can just hold space for someone, that's a real gift.
Yeah. And I would add to that, our children have so much wisdom. And it's been so great to see how many children they hold on to their voices. And as parents, we allow them to have their voice. That's the beauty, because we do our work so that we can be present and
Yes.
allow our children their voices.
Exactly. Exactly. And how different they all are. I have 5 children, but they are all so different. They've had the same upbringing, but because each baby is born with its own genius that needs to be played out in the world. But
Yes.
if you've squashed them so early on,
Yep.
you're not going to see that.
If you squash them because you put them into a system that makes them feel small,
But
then
there
they're
must be,
gonna have to do their work in their 30s or 40s, and we're missing out on their gift.
yeah, that's a whole other topic, I think, because we can't, what they say, you can't put them baby in the bath. What's it? Baby in the bath water,
Can't throw
and
the baby out with the bathwater.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the right schools who are thinking of that, they're great.
They're great. And also, as a parent, I'm not going to say that all schools suck.
Mm,
There a good portion of the public schools don't really function to the benefit of the child, but what's most important is that as the parent, we see our child and we make them feel that they matter. It doesn't
absolutely.
matter if they're in school
I know.
or
And and
not. It
and
doesn't matter what they
and
experience at school. We just don't want to compound that.
and they must be allowed to play till they're 7. All this reading and writing early on. You see, what I see also with this work that I'm doing, and it's becoming clearer and clearer, is that when because I did 2 years I did my Montessori training, and then I did 2 years of the Waldorf, and I never really understood why Waldorf didn't allow children to read, because Maria Montessori was all for reading early on. And then I got it, and I thought, well, because before the teeth of the children come in, their brain isn't able to take on the abstract, or because the heart, there's so much heart.
Yeah.
How can I explain? The heart is alive, and once the intellect is woken up, the heart is pushed down a little bit, and you need your heart to be alive, the children's heart to be alive, and there's something to do with the proportions as well of the head and that. And what you see in the work that I'm doing now is that I'm trying to get the adult into the body,
Yeah.
because they're all up
Right.
here. It's
Right.
all in the head,
Right. Our
and it's
society
so
is very
difficult. And
heavy.
then I suddenly realized that's why you want them to the head to come in later when the
Yep.
heart's fully developed.
Yep.
That was the
Because
epiphany I
that's
had
how
a
you
couple of years
can
back.
live. That's how you can express yourself in the right way and live in in the rights world. When your heart is open.
Because
Rudolph
everything is like
Steiner, man,
rhythmic.
he was a
Yeah,
genius.
yeah,
Something.
and it's all energetics, isn't it? You've got to be able to feel.
Yeah.
When I was in South Africa, I used to work with some traumatized children, there's a lot of cutting going on. They were cutting themselves because, and it was because they couldn't feel. They want to feel. So they
Wow.
were, it was just like, oh my gosh, these children, they want to feel.
Yeah.
So you have to do work with them and try and get them to just, go
Yeah.
back into their body again.
Because
That maybe,
we don't learn that the child is essentially a sense being. And so
it's
we
all
want to
about the
give them
senses.
every opportunity to move and experience their senses.
Yeah.
And we're not doing that if we're putting them, making them sit in a chair and, feed their
Because they're not heady, they're not learning through what you're telling them, they're learning from what they're seeing and observing and feeling.
yeah, right.
Because another part of trauma is when the parents are trying to protect their children, but they don't tell the children what's going on, but the child can feel something's going on. That's the trauma.
Yeah.
Because the child could feel all along something was wrong. So
Yeah.
rather just explain things to your children and all they want is to know that they're not the ones that are causing the
Right.
problems.
Right. They just need authenticity and safety.
Yeah, the environment has to be prepared for them and they should be free in that prepared environment so that they're safe.
Yeah.
They should be seen and they must be heard. It's so interesting because I was with my grandson the other day and we were walking up a hill and every time we got to the bottom of this same space, he would say the same thing. And I said, you know, you say that every time we get to this corner. And he said, yeah, that's because that's when you start chatting to Auntie and you're not listening to me.
Oh my
Because when
gosh.
we got to the hill, I'm speeding up a bit and I'm talking to my daughter, Naima, and he's kind of says the same thing. And I just thought, whoa,
Oh my, isn't that amazing?
how beautifully he was able to express it. You know,
Totally the
you're not
best.
listening to me, I want to be heard. So I'm
Exactly.
repeating the same thing again and again. That's amazing.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was a
Mm,
really fun conversation, Tazeen. I think we should
yeah,
have a
always a
separate
pleasure.
conversation focus
Yeah,
on children
yeah, yeah,
next time.
yeah. Lovely.
Thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we end our time together?
If anybody wants to, join the school community, it's free, and it's where I'll be posting things that come up. It's an interactive thing. They're conversations with other people all around the world. It's a fun place. So it's on Skoll, SKOOL, and it's called Seen and Heard, capital S, capital H.
Okay, great. We're going to drop that in the show
See
notes
them
too.
there.
Thank
Lovely.
you.
Go well, Belinda. Always
Bye.
beautiful chatting to you. Take
Same.
care. Bye bye.